If you can't afford regular health insurance, then you have to be under that, and they'll put you in debt later on.
From what I've heard about Obamacare so far, I do not necessarily agree with it.
Who do you have coverage with?
Blue Cross Blue Shield.
And is it through your parents or do you pay for it yourself?
Through my parents.
I'm on my dad's insurance still.
As far as their health and financial future,
I hope that whatever hospital I'm working with will help me, but I guess I'll wait and see.
are you excited or unsure how the government will affect your future?
I'm unsure.
So what do you get when you hatch a plan to finance the government takeover of health care? And you also offer the nation's youth to stay in their parents' health care plan until age 26? You get what you got. Joining me at this time in our Southern California studio is Patty Newman, whose husband owns a clinic, of which Patty is the administrator here in Southern California.
Right.
And joining us from Washington, D.C. is the senior fellow at the Center for Policy Research Center. That is David Hochberg. David, welcome. Let's start with you. Any surprises to you, David, that America is young and Obamacare-less?
No real surprises to me at all. In fact, the numbers the administration released last week showing that only 24% of that crucial age group, 18 to 34, only 24%. The population of the exchanges is only 24% of that age group, was really not a surprise. When you look at the premiums on the exchanges, they tend to be much higher than I think what a less regulated market would charge younger people. And so I think just younger people really aren't finding much value in the policies on the exchanges in general, or just not signing up.
You mentioned 24% is where we're at right now with the percentage of overall people being young who sign up for Obamacare. As you know, David Hochberg, as you know, Patty Newman, the original goal was 40%. It was dropped to 34%, dropped to 30%. They may even drop it to where it is, 24%. But my question for you, David, is this. Where does this go if indeed the nation the White House cannot get the nation's youth above that 25% number? What happens to Obamacare at that point?
Well, a couple of things. The first thing, and one thing we're beginning to see right now, is a shameless exercise in goalpost shifting. You're going to see a lot more of that out of the administration. But beyond that, one of three things I think are likely to happen. If you don't get enough young and healthy people to sign up, one possibility is the death spiral, where premiums rise because there's not enough young and healthy people to help offset the claims of the older and sicker. Premiums rise, more young and healthy people drop out, premiums rise again, and overall the pool gets older and sicker, prices get very expensive. The other possibility is an insurance company bailout, and there are various provisions written into Obamacare, like risk corridors and the reinsurance programs and so forth, that will actually pay insurers part of their losses if they lose money in the exchanges. And who knows how much the taxpayers are going to shell out for that. At this point, no one knows. The third possibility is you will see some of both. Insurance premiums rise, the beginning of a death spiral, and a taxpayer bailout. Given how badly Obamacare has worked so far, I wouldn't be surprised if the third one is what actually happens.
That's what it sounds to me like, too, David Hochberg. We'll see a combination of those two, your third option. And I think our government, whether it's under Bush or under Obama, has shown no weak-kneedness, if you will, at bailing out big industries. Patty Newman, your husband owns a medical clinic. You run that clinic as an administrator. Any surprises to you that no one's signing up under the age of 26?
No, not at all. Number one, that age group is not politically aware. The ones that are trying to, they're being encouraged to depend on their parents or depend on the government. There's very few parents like me. I have a 24-year-old that actually just turned 25, fully employed, and he said, well, Mom, if I stay on our policy, it'll be cheaper. I'll stay under you. I said, no, you're an adult. You work, you pay for it. You have to promote the idea of self-sufficiency, because he's right.
David.
What will happen, what will happen is this death spiral where we cannot, they've estimated about $20 billion in bailout for the insurance companies. And that is going to only last, the risk corridors are only for 3 years. What happens after that? He's right. The premiums will rise. More people will drop out. The premiums will rise some more, and more people will drop out. And the industry, the private industry, will be blamed for the failure of Obamacare, which is a very dangerous thing to do.
It is dangerous. And David, do you agree with her? Do you think private industry is going to take the fall on this as this thing falls into a death spiral?
It's certainly possible, and the supporters of Obamacare are certainly going to try to push that line of argument. The one possible reason why that might not be true is simply that so much of Obamacare now is sort of set in stone, and so much of that is happening in the insurance markets are now blamed on Obamacare. I mean, when you saw this mass cancellation of individual insurance policies late last year, for the most part that was not blamed on insurance companies. It didn't seem like the public blamed it on insurance companies. They blamed it on Obamacare. But it could go either way, and at this point it's hard to say for certain.
All right, let's shift gears here in the interest of time. Target department stores has now come out and said they are dropping health care coverage for their part-time employees. They join Darden restaurants, they join Home Depot, they join Trader Joe's in that announcement. Patty Newman, I think you have a different take on this than most people might expect you to have.
Yes, normally you would think, okay, I can understand the premiums for the full-time employees are going to go up, so this is a way to save money. However, their explanation was, if we provide some kind of support for health coverage, then our part-time employees are not going to be able to qualify for subsidies under Obamacare. So what do? Instead of taking the responsibility that a good ethical company would, which is, look, I've been providing my part-time employees coverage. I'm going to continue to do so because, again, we want to promote self-sufficiency.
Final comment on Target stores, David Hochberg. I hear what Patty Newman just said. Being someone that's a capitalist, I think this is a business just trying to save face using excuses.
Well, to some extent, I agree with that, but what's going on here is what a lot of critics of Obamacare have long warned about, is that companies would dump their employees onto the exchanges, and I think that's exactly what Target is doing. It's taking its part-time employees, for whom it would pay no fine under the employer mandate, and dumping them onto the exchanges. And financially, it makes, I'm sure, a lot of sense to do that for Target. Call them irresponsible, but the Obamacare law creates incentives to behave irresponsibly.
I have to agree with you, David Hochberg. I understand you're taking a moral high ground on this,
right.
Patty. I think the business, the job of the CEO and the managers of that business is to do what's best in the best interest of that business that's lawful and legal and moral. And they haven't done anything to violate those things as they probably say it. Patty Newman, we thank you for joining us. David Hochberg from Washington, D.C. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. Now, if you thought Obamacare's marketing plan was lacking a Richard Simmons dance-off, you're in luck. What you're about to see is a clip from the 6-hour Get Covered campaign telethon. You're about to see something that is real, and it is funded by your tax dollars.
It's with this. I mean,